Hi there, welcome to I Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. And we're going to do this 10 card spread, and then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people are different kind of emotionally maturity levels in their Virgo energy. Virgo is earth sign energy. It's about learning these lessons in life. It's about knowing our worth and value, healing, growing, maturing ourselves, tempering our more immature egoic nature, feeling more stable and grounded within ourselves, investing in our own unique talent, skills, and interests, and kind of seeing the truth. The truth sets us free to live, keep moving forward in life because we're not staying manipulated by something we don't want to see the truth of. And, we've all been children growing up in the world, so we've all been more caught up in the world, had all these things we wanted to go indulge in that we were sure were the answer, were going to make us happy, but we also could have not seen, that we were being more immature and self-indulgent, or prideful, or stubborn, or lazy, want reward without effort, and some people are at still different degrees of that. We've all got our shadow nature, but some people keep repeating old patterns, and other people kind of learn the lesson of that stage of life, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And they saw the truth of it. And other people just try to create the illusion, oh no, I'm not like that. I don't act like I did when I was like 18 or 21, and I don't try to manipulate or control people. I'm not full of myself, and they are, So it's kind of to take the lessons that you've learned with you as you meet other people in the world. Okay, so this might be something particular that could be going on in Virgo energy right now. So it might affect more people who are Virgo sun, moon, or rising sign, or got significant Virgo placements, but in turn it affects all of us because we all have free will to harness a more high vibe, worldly, or shadowy Virgo nature within ourselves. I kind of view this as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the Knight of Swords, which is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature, and, what our truth is. It's air sign energy. What is our truth? What do we love? What do we want to manifest? And some people's truth is different. Some people are more about themselves or more about the world. Some people are more motivated by truth and love and listening to their intuition. Others want to work more with the world, might want to ignore their intuition, might not want to do love. You get hurt doing love. At the heart of the reading is the Ten of Swords, again, Gemini energy. Some people do not want to become independent. A Ten of Swords to the Nine of Pentacles. They don't want to harness a more high vibe Virgo energy. They don't want to become independent of the Three of Pentacles, the Judgment, the Queen of Wands, and the Empress. So the Three of Pentacles is in their earth sign energy within themselves, in their Capricorn energy. They've decided in the Judgment card that they free willingly choose to maybe align with their more worldly egoic nature and view of life. The Empress is Libra and Taurus. I think it's just and fair to make my life more about these things of the world, and to a degree we all do. For the first 30 to 50 years of our life, because we're pretty caught up in the world. There are all these things in the world that we want to manifest, and that's Gemini energy. The truth is there are these things of the world that we want to manifest. So we can be pretty caught up in these things of the world. It's just that some people always stay more caught up in the world. People can be kind of have these things of the world that they want to manifest, just like everyone else. We do live in the world. Other people can still want those things, but they're not willing to give up their independence and their truth. And then we have the Four of Pentacles, the Star card, and the Five of Pentacles. That everybody wants to manifest some of these things in the world. We'd like to be, the Three of Pentacles can talk about working together with others. We want to be in friendship and relationship. We want jobs. Earth sign energy can talk about those things. The Three of Pentacles, particularly about working together with others. But why? for some reason, it's all about, in the Judgment and the Leo card, it's all about the ego, the image, the stability, the security, wanting to look like they have justice in the world. They could be people who are much more codependent, where they don't listen more to their intuition. They're not more independent. So they could be much more codependent. They want some of these things of the world that other people want, but they might not know their worth and value. They might not aren't able to look at life from a higher perspective. The star card is Aquarius energy, air sign energy again, but they could maybe get all caught up in their head. Or the most important thing is, I want this certain status and image, and that's the truth that drives them. Well, unless they get in relationships with other people who also want to be in friendships and relationships and have a job more out of fear or insecurity or for status or ego and image, it's probably not going to work out. But even if they do get in a relationship with someone who's more about status or ego or image or fear or codependency, what if someone else comes along who has more money, more status, more image? Well, then they would probably end that relationship in the Ten of Swords and become independent of it and go try to get in a relationship to have a new beginning with someone else who they think has more status or image in the star card. Or what if they meet someone who, in the Five of Pentacles, doesn't know their worth and value, or has a lack mentality, or feels left out in the cold, and they think, I think I could go present myself to them. Shadowy energy is kind of like trying to create an illusion about who you are. I'll try to create an illusion about the person I am, that they harness those energies in a high vibe way. I harness high vibe Capricorn, high vibe Libra, Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, Leo, Gemini, Aquarius. I have hope and faith and belief in love. I'm a loving, nurturing person. You should let me move forward with you. I'll be, like this loving, nurturing person to you. Oh, you poor thing, you feel left out in the cold. But their whole purpose for wanting to be in it is more, at the end of the story, we have the Hierophant, which, next to this, kind of the star card here, would be a higher status and level than working with people that inspire you to be just and fair and loving. For people who harness that in a high vibe way, if shadowy people get in relationships with people where it's more mismatched, the more shadowy people don't value love, or they'll stay in a relationship with you only if you're not more independent. Only if you don't keep growing and healing and maturing themselves. If you don't keep learning lessons in life and moving forward to kind of become a spiritual leader in a way where, you kind of walk the talk. Less about the ego and the image or trying to manipulate or control people. Just living your more authentic truth, being more independent. If you get in a more mismatched relationship, some people, they harness this energy in a shadowy way. And again, it's all about the world, conforming to the world, having a certain ego and image in the world. And that is not being more, for some people can be very victorious and successful in the world, and they're creative and inspired people, and they are more independent. But some people, it's all about having a certain status or image, and it's about conforming to the world. So they don't want to become independent of the world, because that's, it's how they look and how they dress and how much money they have and how much status or power or the people they hang out with, that is how they build their sense of worth and value and self-importance. And so they need they're like codependent on the world to view them a certain way for them to feel like they have worth and value. People who love themselves know their worth and value. They can put in work and effort to be very victorious and successful in the world. But that, can they feel successful and victorious? Can they have people who know them, like them, are friends with them? But that's not like if all those things went away, the high vibe people would still know their worth and value, because the truth is they have a foundation of more aligning in their Gemini and Virgo and Libra and Capricorn and Taurus and Leo energy. They're more inspired by truth and love. They have truth. They have faith in a higher truth and justice. It's not just looking to the world to validate their worth and value. And, you put in work and effort to be maybe victorious and successful in some way in your life. And hopefully high vibe people are in things that they really enjoy and that they love and are aligned maybe with their unique talent, skills, and interests. And they kind of have confidence in themselves that if all those things were to go away, it's just not really how they define themselves. They have a hope and a belief within themselves that they have more to work with in this world, and the things of the world that they have aren't the most important things about them. The fact that they are someone who has freed themselves, that's high vibe Capricorn. They freed themselves from their more immature, prideful, selfish, greedy, self-indulgent, lazy, trying to suck off the world to build their esteem. They called judgment on their more worldly nature. They held themselves accountable. They loved themselves. They were inspired within themselves to maintain their independence from the world. I have a worth and value to me that's intrinsic. And part of that is feeling proud of myself, that I freed myself from my more immature nature and I learned to love myself. And I also am inspired to love others in high vibe Libra Taurus, to work together with them, high vibe Capricorn, cooperatively in a just and fair way, acting with character and integrity. And that is the truth of who I am. Not to work together with people in a just and fair way for what you can get out of it. Kind of more self-serving. And if I work together with people in a just and fair way, and I'm treating them the way I like to be treated, and I'm being authentic and high vibe Virgo, you're offering truth and love to people, and I see that that's not their truth in their Gemini nature of free will, I'm willing to become independent of them. Can it be difficult to become independent of a job, friendship, or relationship? Because we could love those people, but if those people decided that they think it's just and fair to backstab people or to try to emotionally manipulate people to get them to do what they want, or be bossy or controlling or stubborn or prideful or whatever, immature, lazy, self-indulgent, then the other people are going to be willing to see the truth, love and believe in themselves. This is not just and fair. These people aren't acting with character and integrity. It can be difficult because that could be how I did view them, and maybe at one time they were. But at any time going down the road of life, people have free will every day. And people can start to drift their life off into the ditch. And then they can still want to be in a friendship or relationship with you, but they're not working cooperatively in a just and fair way and acting with character and integrity and being authentic and loving. They're kind of being more like, well, I don't want to do that anymore. Now I want to be more shadowy. And sometimes that's what shadowy people do. That's kind of like their plan. I'm going to get someone to get in a relationship with me, and then when I think I have them in the relationship, because it's kind of the human nature that when we get in things and we have invested time, energy, and effort and love, it's hard to detach from those things. We would really like them to work, and that's what some shadowy people count on. You really want this to keep working. You're going to put in a lot of work and effort to try to make it work. Great. You keep doing that, and I'm going to go do whatever the hell I want to go do. Indulging, it's like, you do that, I'm not going to do that anymore. I've decided I'm going to kind of hold back from that and you, and I might want to move forward and go indulge in whatever I want to go indulge in that is their idea of living the dream life, or they think gives them a certain status or image in the world. That's like shadowy Aquarius and Taurus. And oh, if that maybe doesn't work out, then maybe I'll come back and get back in a relationship with you, because I don't think, because you have love for me, that you'll become independent of me. I don't think you'll hold back from me and like love and believe in yourself, hoping you are more codependent on them. Like you think your dreams won't come into reality if you're not in a relationship with them. And that you'll feel so left out in the cold, or so rejected or hurt, or that you don't have some of the status or the image or something that you could have had when you were in a relationship with them. Can you go through a phase of feeling that? Sure. Can you not want to let go of something that you had invested in, that you thought was aligned with high vibe Aquarius and Hierophant and Libra and all those other signs, that you thought you were putting in work and effort to bring a dream into reality, and you thought you were working with other people who were inspired, and that's kind of like the Three of Pentacles. It's like you have your dreams, aspirations, I have my dreams and aspirations, and then that third pentacle, I thought we had this common dream. Aquarius can be about the dreams that we have, things that we want to manifest. And in our Capricorn energy, that we would view as being victorious and successful. High vibe Libra Taurus, we thought it was going to be just and fair and balanced. We were inspired by it. In our Queen of Wands, we thought the other people were inspired by it. And could they have been at one time? Yeah. But if they never planned to, the Empress energy can talk about, it's a feminine figure, so I can talk about how we think and feel. They never planned to give birth to anything new, which can be, they have a comfort zone that they like and enjoy, and they weren't ever planning to become independent of it. But, some of them didn't know that when they got in job, friendships, and relationships. But the more they keep doing it, the more it gets harder to hide the truth, right? But everybody can think, oh no, I'm willing to give birth to something new. I'm willing to work together with you. I like you. You like me. Let's work together. But then if they have to become independent of maybe their defensive nature, if they have to, the thing is, if you're going to work together with someone to give birth to a dream, Gemini and our dualistic nature of free will, if we do this, we can't do that, and then that's when they could kind of realize, wait a minute, I have to become independent of like an old dream, and if, in our more worldly nature of self and in the Queen of Wands of Leo, we have to quit being more about ourselves, and realizing if we're working together with people and it's just and fair and all that, it isn't more about you. And it is to work with them cooperatively. And some people could have a harder time with it not going to be just kind of more about me. I have to quit being more about me so they could view themselves as a just and fair and loving and encouraging person, and they can get in relationships with people and seem that way and act that way. But then they could have a harder time still not wanting to kind of be more about themselves. And they could be kind of defensive of wanting to see that truth. From the Three of Pentacles to the Four of Pentacles is kind of seeing the truth of that. Our Virgo nature within ourself goes within to do this work within ourself to see how I'm kind of defensive to quit being more about myself, and then they have to debate within themselves. Am I willing to quit being it more about me and accept the truth that it shouldn't be more about me? And it is about working together with people cooperatively in a just and fair and loving way if I want to bring this dream into reality. And the star and the Hierophant in high vibe energy is, you got to get clear about what your truth is and your truth isn't. If, you want to work together with other people, if the other people you're working together with are just and fair and treating you the way they like to be treated and there's love there, if that's your idea of the dream life, then you would do that. But some people, it's like, I can't be inspired to just be more about me. And some people will decide, I will forego that. I will just keep moving forward, maybe wanting to be single. The Hierophant in Taurus can talk about, like, getting married. And some people are like, nope, that's not my truth. I got a problem with it. And, again, if people are willing to communicate their truth, why do you have a problem with it? Well, it could be because of other situations they went through or other things they've observed in the world. And they could just feel like so many people kind of get married more for these worldly reasons and the things, to be in a relationship, to be in a marriage, maybe have children, that it feel like so many people don't really do it for love, or that it is kind of more limiting and restricting, where feel like people just kind of try to control and manipulate people in a marriage and aren't letting people be more independent and shine their authentic light in the world. Because we can have these differences in the Taurus energy. It can talk about these different kind of belief systems that we have, how we view others, how we view ourselves, kind of these underlying belief systems in relationships of, and a more shadowy energy is that it is kind of more transactional, and it is more one person, being deferred to. We should both be deferring to each other out of love for each other. And can we defer to different people at different times, depending on their area of expertise and their knowledge? And so sometimes people could defer to one person in a relationship or in a group because that person seems to have more insight, more experience, more knowledge. And other times we could defer to someone else in the group or in the relationship, right? But everybody can have their philosophies of kind of their ideas of what they think is just and fair, but a more shadowy relationship can be that they want it more about them, or they could be more in their earth sign energy within themselves, with the Capricorn, the Virgo, and the Taurus here. Taurus kind of dictates our philosophy of life and the decisions that we make and the action that we take and how we think. It's like the Supreme Court in our own head. And again, some people, what they want to give birth to is more of the world. Motivated and inspired. I want to get in a relationship. I want other people to get in a relationship with me. And it should be more for these reasons of either being about them or more for the status and the ego and the image. And in the Five of Pentacles, which is Taurus, in their free will nature, they could have decided, I don't ever want to become more independent from my more worldly nature. I think it's just and fair to be tipped out of balance, to live more from my mind than my heart, to be more about me, be more about the world, or these things I indulge in. That's my truth. And they could try to present themselves as a spiritual leader in the world, pillar of the community, walk like they are this high vibe person, but they could be people who do not connect in with their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, or even believe that there's a higher truth or justice to aspire to in the world. And even if they do try to do things to look like they do, it's all more for these worldly reasons. It's not really the truth of who they are. It's just to act like that's the type of person they are. And some people wear very good false masks. So, with anybody that we're working with, in a relationship with, we can be ready to have a new beginning. The Three of Pentacles to the Four of Pentacles is kind of like, I've done this phase of life. I'm ready to become independent of that phase of life or that stage of the relationship. The truth is, I want to move forward. I have these dreams I'm trying to manifest. Are you kind of coming with, in the Five of Pentacles, is leaving behind, holding back, and continuing, it's just like things grow and mature over time. Just like relationships can grow and mature over time. We can know people as a friend. Then we could get to know them to be, other people stay in the friend group zone. We kind of become more independent of the friend group zone people to invest in these people, to get to know them more. And then it's like, are we going to keep moving forward in it and go to the next phase? And that's at any point in time in there, some people kind of could hold back from that. And they're like, let's stay here longer, or let's stay here longer. And with any of those situations in our life, if you're just getting to know someone and you've been getting to know them, and you kind of realize you would like to spend more time with them to get to know them more, and if they say, no, that's not my truth, I'm okay with us doing this. Well, the big thing is, in the Judgment and the Leo card, which is like our ego, we have to get out of our ego about it and deal with the truth of it. We can have people who want to spend more time with us and get to know us more, and we're like, I'm good. And we can feel that way towards other people, and they can feel that way towards us. So get out of our ego about it. Accept the truth that friendship or relationship is the way it is. With some of the people, we could move forward more in getting to know them more. And then with those people, again, continuing to move forward and kind of growing and maturing some of these relationships. And at any point in time in our life, sometimes we had people who wanted us to move forward a little differently than we were ready to move forward. We've had times in our life where we were ready to move forward and other people weren't ready to move forward. And the whole thing is, we have these different dreams. We all can have our fears and our insecurities of stepping outside of our comfort zone. We all, at different times in our life, could have been more codependent, more fearful, less independent, lacked some hope and faith and belief in ourselves or in our dreams. At different stages, we're all at different stages of kind of learning these lessons, and we all kind of learn them at different times. And I think right now some people are listening to kind of like their higher self too, is what this combination is kind of reminding me of. I have this dream, and if I feel like I have been offering truth and love and encouragement to people, but they keep holding back from moving forward with me more in this way. Like, there's some truth I've seen that I don't want to keep repeating this pattern, but they want to keep repeating it. And they're okay with being in a relationship so long as we keep doing that. And it's like, and it could be that I could feel, or we could feel, that sometimes that some people don't want us to love and believe in ourselves, don't want us to be more independent, don't want us to keep having more hope and faith and belief in our dreams, don't want to hold ourselves to a higher standard, But we did that all the time in our life at these different phases of life. To go from 18 to 21, 21 to 25, 25 to 28, to keep moving forward in our life and not staying stuck in a certain way of living life, we had to hold ourselves accountable in the judgment card. If I just keep doing this, this is what I'm going to keep giving birth to. If I have a dream of doing life a little differently, there might be some things I need to become independent of. I need to see the truth of what are the things that are conducive, like the good building blocks to keep taking with me. And what do I see are maybe some of the habits or vices or people or thoughts or whatever that aren't conducive. And I offer love. I view High Vibe Leo and High Vibe Empress as giving yourself love to work through all the ways you can get caught up in your head and your fears, to become more independent of those things. And from the 3 to the 9 of Pentacles is the 6 of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy. You know, there could be certain things, people, ways of viewing life that was a way that we did view life. But if that way of living life or viewing life keeps us repeating an old pattern, and I have a dream of moving forward to keep going on my journey of like growing and healing and maturing myself, and I could feel like this never gives birth to anything new. And maybe some of the people I'm in friendship and relationship don't want me to give birth to anything new, because they don't want to give birth to anything new, because they don't want to become independent of that way of living life or viewing life. But the 9 of Pentacles can kind of be, I kind of learned the lesson I was meant to learn there. You know, just like at all these different stages of life, we meet people, we know people in the 3 of Pentacles. In the 6 of Pentacles, we do back and forth with them to get to know them. But part of getting to know people is to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what their truth is. So is it more inspired by love, or is it more inspired by lust or greed or codependency or fear, money, materialism, status, image? Are the other people ever going to free themselves from things that manipulate them? Are they more codependent on some other people in their life, or just their more worldly or egoic nature, which makes them defensive and they don't ever want to become independent of their self-protected, defensive, egoic nature? You know, if I'm someone who is willing to be more open, authentic, and loving with people, but I'm in a relationship with someone who can seem very loving and just and fair and want to be in the relationship, but as time goes by, I kind of realize they kind of hide behind their ego. And then it's kind of like they don't let their more authentic nature come out to play in the world. And it's kind of like being in a relationship with someone. Their authentic nature looks out through the eyeballs, but their ego nature, self-protected, defensive nature runs their life. Well, how can you have a dream come into reality wanting to be in a relationship with people who have kind of worked through those fears and insecurities to be more independent of their self-protected, defensive nature and love and believe in themselves enough to want to do that, move forward with you in that way? And so sometimes we get out of relationships with people like that because eventually kind of the 10 of Swords is we kind of completed a cycle with them. And just what we wanted to give birth to next, how we wanted to move forward next could have been different. But sometimes it was that the other people aren't willing to come out from behind their ego. Don't want to step out of their comfort zone. Have other people they're codependent on. If those people don't move forward differently, they're not going to move forward differently. Could be more materialistic. Don't ever want to, never get comfortable enough in their own skin to live their more authentic truth. And it can always be more about conforming to the world and being more codependent on the world. And other people, that's not their truth. And we kind of see the difference. And though we want those things of the world and what we could have been working on with those people, we would know if we keep doing that, we won't. It's kind of like we had to sacrifice our dream because our dream wasn't the same. And that's what, some people do want, because they don't ever plan to become more independent from whatever manipulates them. And they would hope that because you love them, you would kind of give up your dream to live life the way they want, which could be either being more about them, more about the world, whoever they're codependent on, that you keep saying codependent on them, or whatever they indulge in to make themselves feel better, and they think that's living the dream. They want you to stay codependent on indulging in those things, thinking you're living the dream life. And some people are like, I'm not willing to give up my dream. I have a dream of wanting to work together with people that are loving and encouraging and supportive of me, like I am loving, encouraging, and supportive of them, to keep trying to grow to our full potential, to shine our authentic light in the world, to step out from the herd, to invest in High Vibe Virgo, our own unique skills, interests. Again, some people in the world, they can get in jobs and careers that they don't even love, but because of the ego or the image or the status, they're doing it every day. Other people could have gotten in that career field, realize this is not my truth. Sometimes we might have to stay in it because that is kind of our job or our experience. But then it's like, my dream is to really go do some of these other things. Well, maybe if they were to do some of those other things, well, what would the other people think? And what about all of our friends or whatever? It's like, well, if they're not going to be encouraging of me doing what is aligned with my truth, then I don't know that there are people who really gave a damn about what I enjoy and me anyway. Was it only because, were they only being friends with me because of a status or ego or an image or what I wore or who I knew? Well, I guess they're going to go do that with someone else. Because I'm not going to, and I don't want to be in relationships with people who are more about those things. There's all sorts of people in the world that are just and fair and loving and encouraging people. And I don't want to just hang out with a certain group in a way, because, it's just to be open to, in High Vibe, you go out in the world and you treat other people the way you like to be treated, being truthful and authentic and just and fair, and looking to find other people who are in that energy. And it doesn't matter your socioeconomic or your religion or your race or your politics or whatever. I'm looking for people where we're kind of on the same page and we know how to treat each other in a just and fair and loving way. Do we all have to live our life the same? No. But, everybody could be the same age, but it's kind of like you just have these different interests or different viewpoints or different things that you could like to do or whatever, but you can be just and fair and loving and encouraging people. And some people are willing to be more independent of the world. Those things of the world don't get them so up in their head or manipulate them to such a degree, and other people, it really manipulates them. And they can be consumed by it, and if they don't have these certain things, or they don't look a certain way, or some people just being in a relationship they feel says something about their worth and value, other people are like, I'm not going to get in a relationship just to be in a relationship, and I'm not going to stay in a relationship just to stay in a relationship. That is like living a life of illusion, and I don't want to live a life of illusion. That's not aligned with my truth. So am I willing to be single and live my truth? Yes, because I'm looking to find other people who know their worth and value, who don't want to be in relationships just to be in a relationship, or because of the ego or the image and status, that are looking for other people who are on that same page. And some people who got in relationships, more because of these other reasons, they could see other people who are moving forward that they could think, dang, I'd like to be in a relationship with those people, but I wasn't willing to be single and kind of walk my talk and love and believe in myself. So I got myself kind of tangled up in something. And now to get out of it, we can be worried that, what are people going to say and how people are going to judge us. And, that's human nature. And again, those people that are in those situations, and sometimes it's not because of anyone else, it's just that I kind of feel like we harness these energies different. What kind of drives and motivates you, and why you want to be in it, what you think is just and fair, if you're more authentic or you're more prideful or more egotistical, if you're more independent, not more independent. Sometimes just along the journey, we can be loving and encouraging and supportive people to each other, but we could come to realize that we have much different views on life. But then do we keep staying in it, you know? And we don't, it's kind of like, I don't even want to talk about it. It's just too challenging. That's not the point of the story. Everybody will have to work through it. Other people did work through it. People decided they couldn't keep moving forward in something, feeling left out in the cold, like it wasn't based on love or it wasn't balanced. Sometimes, high vibe energy is about balance. Can we really love some people, but there's no stability, there's no security? Again, it's supposed to be balanced, and high vibe energy is learning that all four suits of the deck, the heart, the mind, the 3D world, the creative, passionate nature, it's having a balance of those things. And we can run our life off in the ditch because, oh my gosh, but I love them. But all the other three aspects aren't there. It has to be a balance, and everybody has their own idea of kind of the mix of each and how much and what things they put more importance on than other people, and things they like to enjoy, and their idea of the dream life anyway. And it's trying to find people who are more on the same page as us. So I think if high vibe people are probably called judgment on some things, they could have given birth to a new beginning. They're moving forward in it. And if that's a job, friendships, or relationships, kind of investing more of their time, energy, and effort into people and things that they think are more on the same page as them and in alignment with this dream and their truth. Detaching from some people in their life who they don't think that is their truth. They could still be friends, but you're not going to invest more in them. They kind of stay in the friend zone in a way. Shadow. So what's going on with the high vibe people? And some of them had to become independent of someone who they thought they were going to give birth to something new with, and realize they need to become independent of those people because they do view life differently and their dreams are different, and they are willing to go through that period of feeling left out in the cold than staying in it and feeling left out in the cold. What's coming up for them? The Two of Wands. Why? Because of the Scorpio Death card. Some people, they did transform, is what the Death card can talk about. Emotionally, they're not the same person that they were before. At every different stage of life that we're in, is it just and fair for us to kind of live our life that way to a degree? Yeah, because that's where we're at. But as we go, just like we did during those different age groups when we were young, when we kind of realize that it's kind of time to move forward, we offer truth and love to some of the people in our life to move forward with us. And some people will, some people won't. But you're not the same person emotionally that you were before. It's just that some people never do this inner work within themselves. They could have their fears, their insecurities, their defensive nature, their immature nature. They never do that inner Virgo work within themselves to work through some of it. So they don't change. They keep staying the same. Whatever way they think or whatever things manipulate them, it's like And they could be perfectly happy living their life that way, but other people could feel like they stay kind of stagnant. They're not inspired to keep growing and healing and maturing themselves and facing their fears or being more independent or any of those things. And that's fine. They can live their life whatever way they want. It's just that other people, that's not their truth. And during the course of that job, friendship, or relationship, they did work through some issues within themselves. And it kind of freed them. Those things don't manipulate them the way they used to. And so they view life differently now. And so they don't want to keep repeating an old pattern. And we'll all repeat patterns until we learn the lesson kind of that we were meant to learn. If you even want to learn it. If you want to free yourself from aspects of your more worldly, egoic, immature nature or whatever. And if you don't have to. You have free will. It's just some people in their free will, whether they want to or not, life could force them to have to do some of this inner work. Because something about it could have them up in their head and make them feel left out in the cold, and they don't know why they feel that way. So then they could do this inner work within themselves. They work through it. They kind of could even work through their own lack mentality. They could work through people in their life who they thought would be more just and fair and loving in their life that weren't, and kind of realize how that impacted them, and they worked through it. And maybe they didn't. The Two of Wands is Aries energy of loving and believing in yourself. Maybe they didn't used to love and believe in themselves. And some people kind of work through those things. We're now, just having more experience, say, in a workforce or in friendships or romantic relationships. It's like, I do think I've healed and grown and matured in myself. I do think I've grown, and I think I do have more belief in myself, because we could have all ran our life off into the ditch at times and not been so proud of ourselves. And then it can take time to recover. And then, if you do that work within yourself again, you're kind of back up on your feet again. And you've learned not to quit believing in yourself. You've learned to maintain perspective, to keep things in the big picture. Look at life from the big picture. Don't get caught up in the small things, because it can really get you up in your head. And offer yourself love and compassion and forgiveness. Offer love and compassion to others. And all of those things free you to keep moving forward, believing in your dreams. And again, kind of realizing with some people your dream was not going to come into reality with them because your truth is different. Their idea of the dream life is different than your idea of the dream life. And I think as you move forward in that way, you're not repeating some old patterns. You're looking to the future, holding yourself accountable, holding other people accountable, other people in the world that you don't even know could be doing this also. And when we quit investing more of our time and energy into the people who have shown us that's not their truth, it frees us up to move forward with other people in the world who are moving forward, to get to know them, and it transforms our whole life. Willing to deal with the truth, accept the truth, heal, get out of our ego, get over if people backstabbed you, which is what the Ten of Swords can be. And some people backstabbed you because you did love and believe in yourself and they didn't want you to. Some people backstabbed you because you healed and they didn't want you to. Some people backstabbed you because you are who you say you are. And they don't like that because they like to act like they're that, but they're not. So if they can just try to backstab you, and they were maybe hoping you'd maybe drive your life off into the ditch. But you didn't. Instead of, you worked through it. And you've transformed your whole life. And now you kind of look like a shining star and a very stable and abundant and grounded person within yourself. Someone that other people think their dreams could come into reality with. Some of the people that are shadowy in your life, just like your own shadow nature doesn't like it, because your shadow nature wants you to stop that and let your shadow nature run your life. And you probably have some shadowy people in your life that don't like you aligning with your high vibe nature and hanging out with people who are more aligned with your high vibe nature, because then you're not indulging them in a shadowy relationship. So the shadowy people will probably still try to backstab and betray you because you kind of called judgment on them. You offered them truth and love, but of course they're going to lie to people about that probably. And you tried to encourage them to love and believe in themselves and work through their fears and insecurities, but they didn't want to do that. And they never thought you would love and believe in yourself enough to become independent of them. So they're mad. And as you move forward, you'll meet other people who have also kind of went through similar situations. But you've completed a cycle. You completed a phase of life. You're having this brand new beginning. You are different. You are not the same person that you were before. And some of the shadowy people will try to move forward in new jobs, friendships, or relationships, or marriage to try to make it seem like that's the truth about them too. But they're the same person they were before. They didn't see anything about themselves that needed to change. You realized it was your more worldly nature and maybe your fear of believing in yourself and believing in your dreams and listening to your intuition that got you in those situations to begin with. And you're less tempted to make decisions in your life more out of your want for those worldly aspects. You're more inspired to stand up for yourself and what you believe in. And if that's not their truth, and you want a just and fair and authentic and loving and balanced and inspiring relationships, if that's not the truth of who some people were in your life, they're not coming with. But some other people in your life and other people in the world or in your workplace are. If everybody kept repeating old patterns in the death card, nothing would change. High vibe energy represented by God, which the Hierophant at the big picture would be like God. And people who look at life from a higher perspective, I have more to work with than just these things of the world. And these things of the world aren't just the most important thing. I also have my creative, inspired, spiritually intuitive nature. And when I ignore that and I don't listen to that, I am not as fulfilled by these things of the world like other people could be. But those people might not be very connected in with or even believing in their more creative, inspired, intuitive, spiritual nature. And that part might not be very important to them. And it might not be now and it might not be ever. But it is a part of me and I need to align with that truth. And then, God wants to keep giving birth to new things. If we keep giving birth to the same old thing, we're never giving birth to something new. And so God, wants to work with everyone, but God can only work with people who are willing to kind of more listen to love and intuition to guide them and shed a layer of their more worldly, fearful nature. And some other people aren't willing to do that. But I think high vibe people are they are taking action from, oh, no, that's not it. No, I think they're just taking action to bring their dreams into reality that's aligned with their truth. And they could have found these things more of the world in a shadowy Scorpio way, found it more superficial and shallow, and they harness high vibe Scorpio, and they want more deep, meaningful relationships. What's coming up for people who harness? So shadowy energy will always try to stop you. And you keep looking at life moving forward and there'll be other people who are inspired by that who will want to move forward with you. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming? The King of Swords and the Seven of Wands, and the reason is because of the Star card. So, some people in there, like Libra and Leo energy, they could be defensive to looking at life from a higher perspective, harnessing high vibe Aquarius energy, because their truth is they are maybe more about themselves or their ego or their image, don't really believe in love, like to live more from their mind than their heart, think it's practical and logical to make your life about looking victorious and successful in the world and looking like a shining star. So they harness a more shadowy Libra, Leo, and Aquarius energy. And other people in their life harness more high vibe Libra, Leo, and Aquarius. And what they don't see coming, because they're defensive to doing life differently, they're defensive of change, they're defensive of being more independent of their self-protective. I view the King of Swords as a person's more self-protective defensive energy. They're defensive of coming out from their more self-protective nature. They're defensive to being inspired to look at life differently, just could have a very worldly perspective. The most important thing is to look victorious and successful in the world, whether they're male or female, or it being more about them. Wanting to kind of be indulged in a relationship. And because of that, more high vibe people in their life who had been, whether they're friends or family members, could love them and didn't want to move forward without them. But again, eventually those people, we can't make other people look at life differently. We can't make people get out of their defensiveness. We can't make people have more hope and faith and belief in themselves. We can't make people who think, again, maybe that anything they think is just or fair is just and fair. Even though a whole bunch of other people could I do not think that's just and fair, But some of these people could be quite full of themselves, and they could think, everybody has the free will to manifest what they want to manifest, and act and be whatever way they want to be. But some people do kind of make themselves God, where I don't think there is any higher truth or justice, defensive to that idea. Basically, if I look like and I act like I have this certain status and image in the world, well, basically, I can do what I want. Just so long as maybe other people don't know about it. And try to manipulate maybe loving people in my life. Manipulate the truth. Because high vibe energy and high vibe Leo and high vibe Libra, you are being authentic and truthful, and you are who you say you are. And you really are balanced within yourself. And you really do treat other people the way you like to be treated. Other people try to create the illusion that they're that type of person, but they're not. It's kind of like, if people don't do things the way they want to do it, in what that they think is just and fair, well, then they think it's just and fair, to backstab those people and lie about those people and whatever. I think what they don't see coming is more high vibe people will become defensive to them, and they'll move on from them. And ultimately, they'll be surrounded by other people who are like themselves, who also might try to present themselves like they're a pillar of society and try to act like that is their truth. But it's not. It's more all about the ego and the image and the status of it, or it being about them. Other people got out of relationships with people who are just more about themselves, because in the Two of Wands, the Aries energy is about the self. And the high vibe people realize their dreams can come into reality with people who are more kind of full of themselves and all about themselves. Or it's their idea and their idea of the dream life. Again, you're supposed to work together with people cooperatively to bring in a dream. Some people create the illusion they're willing to do that, but oh, I have all these things I'm not willing to become independent of to really give birth to that. But again, they hope that when people get in a relationship with them and stay in a relationship with them, that those people will kind of give up their dream and basically they'll do it the way these people want to do it. Well, high vibe energy is the third party in your relationship is kind of supposed to be hope and faith and belief and love. And that's the common thing that we work towards in the Three of Pentacles. And they're like, no, my truth supersedes that truth. We make it look like it's that. That's what we do in the world, is we make it look like it's that, but it's not really that. So they're defensive to the truth. They're defensive to really walking the talk that they profess to believe in. And if they find other people who view life that way, 50% of the world at any given moment, in a world of duality and free will, probably think that way, they could move forward in a relationship with someone because it looks good by worldly standards, and that's the most important thing. Love is to be just and fair. Love is supposed to be being in a relationship because of love, not for these other reasons. But it's like, well, they don't love and believe in themselves. They're fearful. They're afraid. They're willing to indulge me in a relationship. So that's the reason? Wonderful. Or they have status or ego or image, or I do, so they're going to stay in a relationship with me, or I'm going to stay in a relationship with them for those reasons. That's fine. If they want to manifest a more worldly dream, they have the free will to do that. They just had the option to really live their life, investing time, energy, and effort into loving and believing in themselves and making their life more than about themselves or the ego and the image of something. And that's what other people weren't willing to give up their dream. They're more about I do adhere to a higher truth and justice. I don't make other people God in my life. And I listen to my intuition, and I am more independent. I am not willing to give up on myself, but I'm going to move away from people who did give up on themselves to make their life more about them or conforming to the world and not to live their authentic truth. So they'll have the worldly dream. Other people will transform their life, and God will probably bring them more to their life and what they manifest walking the talk than they could have ever imagined for themselves, because they listened to kind of what their higher self, intuition, God told them. This is not just and fair. This is not balanced. And they had to give up some of those worldly things or people that they had loved for, because those people weren't kind of adhering to truth and love. And I think they're the ones who are going to look like a shining star in the world. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.